got these three bits that look identical. Got this one, and this one. I mean, they all look the same. Like, what's the difference?
Right.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Bit by Bit, presented by Farmhouse Tack with Michelle Drum and Adam Rutenberg from AJR Bit. So, Adam, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're from two different settings than normal, which is actually nice for the viewers as well. We switched up our scenery, and I'm excited to be back to do another episode. I know we had a lot of questions around the three different types of block bits, so it's really nice to address those on this episode, and you know, we can break it down a little further for the viewers so they really understand what they're buying or, you know, what could best suit their horse based on what we discussed today. So I'm excited to get into it with you.
Perfect. Now, I've got these three bits that look identical. Got this one, and this one. I mean, they all look the same. Like, what's the difference?
Right. So it's a great question. You know, wanted to create variety and variations of things because not every horse responds the same way to every rider's hand. Not every rider's hand is educated enough to use a certain strength. So I wanted to create levels of the same product because there's tons of mouthpieces that work for a horse, but sometimes you're like, I just wish it was a little stronger. I just wish it was a little softer. I just wish we could, I don't know, find the middle ground. So I said, with three options, well, can't really miss, right? So if you pick up one of them for me, because you have the pleasure of holding them today, the straight block bit was designed with, if you notice, this bit tapers towards the center. Basically, the blocks start a little bit thicker towards the cheek piece, and then as you move towards the center, you can see they decrease. And that was designed specifically to create more room for the tongue and cover more surface area on the bar of the mouth. So that was a very intentional design, right? I designed that because I wanted it to work that way. All three variations are the same. What's different about them is the inside, and we'll get to that in a minute. But what's interesting about the design itself is that because the blocks decrease and we create more space in the horse's mouth, it is suitable for a horse with a paramouth, or it is suitable for a horse with, you know, limitations as far as having a fleshy tongue. I do get the question, why didn't you use thinner blocks towards where the bar of the mouth is? And I said, well, the thinner the block, the harsher the effect, the stronger the effect. This way, you cover more surface area on the bar of the mouth, right? As you can see, it's a thicker block, so it's not as sharp, because this design can be sharp if it's thinner. It would be sharp. Like this, it
right,
is
I can
true.
see.
Even if you run your hands on it, you'll feel how the diameter of those decreases.
Right, yeah, and it's fairly comfortable. I mean, the edges aren't sharp. They're you know, a lot of thought clearly went into this, how we rounded out. You know, it's like, it is a block bit, but it's not like squared off and sharp. It's definitely got a rounded edge to it.
So what happens with the V shape is it's not straight up and down, right? So because it's not straight up and down, the V shape kind of contours without pinching. Right? So you're not going to pinch the bar of the mouth. You're not going to pinch the tongue. You're not going to pinch the mouth because it's a V versus a straight flat line going up and down. So that was a very intentional part of this design.
Gotcha. Now tell me about the textile, like the actual, like the core of these mouthpieces, because they all look the same, but they clearly are not. I mean, this one is very stiff. I've got one that's not very stiff.
Let's start with, so if you find the flexi one for me, we can start there. So the most flexible.
Would that be this one?
So this is called the rubber block flexi full cheek. And this design, as you can see, is very flexible. And the inner wire of that bit, so what you have is you have a braided stainless steel wire, which is then closed with little rivets, if you will, to seal it so it can wrap around the cheek piece and around the little bearing that the cheek piece moves on. And then it's covered, well, first it's covered with a plastic tube, so that prevents the wire from coming through, but also gives the very central part of that bit a little more stiffness than the outer sides of that bit. So you can see what I mean? It's a little stiffer towards the center. So then it's, in order to seal that tube so it's not sliding on the mouth, even inside the mold, we heat treat with a rubber sort of sealant. So you heat that sealant so it closes off the wire to the rubber. So that's your seal. Then it's placed in the mold and it's injected with TPU. So TPU is like a Kong ball for a dog. So it's less strong than Vulcanite. Vulcanite has sulfur and other compounds. So it kind of lies in the middle. It's very high quality versus rubber itself has an eraser effect on the gum of the horse, on the bar of the horse, on the flesh of the horse, versus this does not. This will not heat up like rubber does.
Gotcha. Okay. I see what you're saying. Like it's fairly stiff right there, but then in the middle, it's incredibly flexible. Right. So the horse can gum it and do whatever.
So this model, the Flexi, was really interesting when I designed that bit because I wanted it to still have an effect for the horse, right? I wanted it to be still provide the action that I intended for this bit to have. The main difference is that I found that the single joint version was just too strong for some horses, and it didn't suit horses with a low palate, and it really didn't encompass what I wanted it to encompass to really capture the suitability for all the horses. So when I made it flexible, I said, okay, as the horse leans against those blocks, it'll still feel those V channels and discourage him from fixing and leaning. It still sits between a normal snaffle and a twist. But what's unique about it is that it is flexible. So if the single joint version was too strong, right, then you had something to downgrade to. You had something that was flexible, that was straight, if you will.
Right, right.
And so that's where this design came in, specifically with this wire.
Gotcha. That seems real. I've got a horse that actually kind of prefers this exact sort of mouthpiece. It's, not too hard, not too soft, and it's his favorite sort of thing to go in. So I'm excited to try one of these.
Yeah, I think
on him. I think he's going to like it.
Suitable for a lot of horses. I mean, young horses, and there's no limitation. I think there's a misconception around the design. When you first look at it, it looks like a lot, but it's actually less than a twist. You don't have something constantly in the bar of the horse's mouth. I mean, there are just so many horses that are overreactive to a twist, and this is truly, I mean, even my rubber twist. Anyhow, the second one that you have is the morph, which is the one that bends, but it's harder to bend, right? It bends, but you have to put a little elbow into it. Okay, and it stays. So this design was actually created by accident, if I must admit. When I was first doing the Flexi mouth, I was speaking with my production team, and I said, look, this bit has to be flexi, but it has to have a wire inside. So they put a wire inside, all right, except they put a different kind of wire inside. And when I saw the outcome of this, I said, you know what? I love it. I love it because it gives you a 2-in-1. You can shape it how you want, and it'll stay for the duration of the ride. It will be straight if you want it to be straight. It's not going to bend unless you have a freight train.
They can mount it to a point where they feel comfortable.
Right.
They can almost customize the fit in their mouth.
That's it. That's what I love about that bit. You nailed it. So that bit is fully customizable. You can make the right side a little higher. You can make whatever you feel is good for your horse and whatever gives you the best feeling. And that's so hyper unique about this model and why it's so popular. And I will be doing this in other mouthpieces as well, because I just find it to be so practical, so useful. And I was the first one to ever do something like this. And the story behind it is unique because, well, it was a mistake that turned into a success.
Absolutely. And now all 3 of these mouthpieces are available in all of your bits. Is that correct?
Any bit that I make the straight lock mouthpiece in, you can get it in any cheek piece. We might not have all the cheek pieces available right now, but we're going to extend the line. Like I just had 2 rings that are in production that are coming in. We have Hackabits that are in production coming in. We have Nelson gags, full cheek gags that are coming in. We'll have everything you could dream of, every cheek piece. Michelle, when we look at the market, how many times do you see or hear, rather, a rider say, I love this mouth, but why don't they make it on this cheek? I mean, all the time.
Right.
They're like, well, I don't get it. Why wouldn't they do that? So at AJR, what we decided to do, whether it sells well or not, I put it on every cheek piece. So you have every possible option that you could dream of in my, Bright with One brand, because I found that having a mouthpiece that's successful but not offering it on multiple cheek pieces is a moot point. Because maybe you like a Pelham, but you want a baby Pelham. Maybe you like a loose ring, but you want bigger rings. Maybe you like a full cheek gag, but most brands don't do them. They just do them in a gag. So you'll be able to buy it in all of the cheek pieces that are imaginable.
Let's just finish up with these. So the final piece is the one that just absolutely doesn't move at all.
Fixed. So the fixed rubber block mouthpiece, I really like this because there's so many horses that they need just a little bit more. But when you go to something like stainless steel, you get such a reaction. No one makes a stiff rubber in a thinner diameter that I'm aware of, which is something we're developing now in a mulin shape or a straight shape. This really just nails it. I mean, I've sold it to a few customers, actually from your store when I was in Tryon, that they had a Derby horse, and they're like, God, the horse is just, I don't know. I don't know how to just get it right in the middle. And this horse was fantastic. I said, look, at the end of the day, you're going to put a twist. It's going to be so overreactive to your hand. It's not going to be good. You're going to hate a twist. Yeah, I know. I hate a twist now. I said, in the single joint bits don't work for the horse. And the hinges work, but they're not. So I said, okay, let's try this, right? Let's try this. Let's see, do you find that middle ground with this design? And I think they did. I'm pretty sure I did see that horse with my bit in the ring doing a Derby recently. So
nice. Very good. So just to go over it one final time, if we've got the morph, which is the one where you can go ahead and mold it or let your horse mold it to its mouth. We've got the stiff one, which is solid mouth.
Yeah.
The fixed mouth. And then we've got the Flexi. Did I get that right?
Flexi.
Yeah. The Flexi, which will bend any way you want it to, but in the end, we'll still stay straight. Very good. Thanks for joining us today, Adam. And thank you all, everybody, for stopping in and checking out our podcast today. Drop us a comment below if you want to see a different bid, you want to know how something works. Please just drop us a comment, send me a DM, and we'll get it in line. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.